What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be continuing with our Neptune through houses series, and we'll be taking a look at Neptune in the third house and what it's like to have the planet Neptune in your astrological natal chart. So, let's get into it. What is Neptune? Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It shows how we spiritualize our life. On a mundane level, it represents our ideals, our dreams, our fantasies. Okay? On a deeper level, spiritual meaning, spiritual understanding. Okay? And it also, Neptune is also imagination. Third house. Third house is the original house of Gemini. Is the house of communication, learning of all sorts, and communication of all sorts, written, verbal, different languages. Third house represents our siblings, neighborhood, early childhood environment, okay, all that good stuff. So I love Neptune in the third house. Double-edged sword. So we've already established the fact that Neptune at its very low state, in its unconscious state, creates a fogginess or a confusion around the area of life in which it is placed. So when Neptune comes into the third house, we have people who the Neptunian spark of spirituality and femininity and emotional intuitive understanding is quite active within the person's part of the brain that corresponds to analytical thinking. Okay, so it's almost like an opposite effect. Neptune is more so meant to be on in the other side, the intuitive, creative, imaginative, but it's here in the house of the practical, of the curious, to make sense of things. So there's a confusion regarding how the person understands logical information, and naturally the arena in which this is played out is school. So it's not necessarily that these children aren't good students, although they might struggle early on. They're just not naturally as interested to learn, or the school structure isn't naturally designed to play towards the strengths of their learning abilities. So we have very intuitive learners, people who gravitate towards symbols and feelings more than necessarily logic or words. Okay? Now, I want you to think about this. The third house being like that lower mind, and then Neptune really being a high spiritual faculty. The person can easily digest or understand, or has an aptitude for spiritual knowledge, for creative endeavors. Okay? They naturally gravitate. It's kind of, Neptune in the third is like, these are the kids who knew they liked poetry just from the sound of it. They didn't necessarily have the experience to place with the poetry, but they could feel what that author or writer was trying to convey through the words. So you gotta understand, these people they have the ability or capacity to read more than what is there. So, like I said, it's confusing because in this realm, the Neptune in the third person will, because of school and maybe struggles there or other factors, feel inferior when it comes to the realm of communication or learning. So that creates this paradox, and that paradox is always connected with Neptune. It creates this paradox of someone who doubts themselves, who may actually be very brilliant and perceptive and have a high understanding of things, but never voice, express, or believe in that. So it is the Neptune in the third person's job to ground, or I guess organize or find ways of accepting how they learn. Okay? This also can apply to people with Pisces in the third, as well as Chiron. Okay? Just for anybody out there listening. So, Neptune needs the structure of the analytical mind. But the method around how you learn and how you retain information won't be standard. It will be unique onto your own. So, naturally, like I said, the person, the mind naturally gravitates towards things like astrology, tarot, the arts, the performing arts, stuff like that. And what this does is, like, if the person taps into that realm of what they're good at, they can still open up the third house, because the third house is about versatility. It's about trying your hand at different things. So you're going to have, the key for the Neptune person is to really become conscious of what their natural gifts are. Use those natural gifts to build confidence in understanding on how to learn and retain things, and then start to extend. So later in life, people with Neptune in the third, especially if there's an aspect to the sixth house here, if there's sixth house energy, if there's Virgo energy, as you get older, you're going to become very organized. Organized is what you need. The mind, it needs focus and all of that, and the sixth house will indicate how you do that. And then other planets aspecting this Neptune in the third will show what can be of use to you within your communication. So if Venus is here, it's going to be really good for creativity and the expression of that. Like I said, if Saturn is here, it's going to take time to develop that. But yeah, you should definitely play to your strengths. Don't try to be like everybody. And this position in particular is one of those things that make me grateful to be able to teach, because positions like this make me conscious of learning styles and people's minds and how they absorb information. Okay? Next thing, Neptune the third, big imagination, big daydreamers. Now, guys, this is part of the reason why third house things can be difficult, because there's an element of needing to focus. Neptune energy needs to be grounded. So, concentrate on focusing. Concentrate on, like, direct, staying in line when communicating and learning things. If you're like in terms of like school and stuff, literally use a highlighter. Figure out what works for you. Use maybe like meditative music, stuff like that, okay? But your imagination can really be an asset to you. So, based just off on how the mind imagines, it leads the person to be naturally artistically inclined, because if you're imagining these things, the next aspect is to organize it, you get what I'm saying? Or naturally write it out, right? So writers and artists of all kinds are connected to this position, but the key is to find practical utilization for your skills, okay? Next thing with Neptune in the third here is that it can create movement early on in life. It is right next to the fourth house, and I've seen, like I said, the moon maybe is connected to this, or the ruler of said fourth house, ninth house. It could show the person relocating in life. And then also, how you look at it, it doesn't even have to be a large move, just a move. So it could be a local move. And then Neptune in the third can also represent, think about if you've ever been the new kid at school and how misunderstood or out of place you feel. That's Neptune in the third. And now I have to adjust to the rules of this school and how the kids do this thing. All right? Think directly like that for Neptune in the third. So lots of movement. It could create one where Neptune deals with reflections, and then this naturally squares the 12th house. If you have like that aspect here, it can create something where your siblings reflect back to you your Neptunian qualities that you don't own. So this can create someone with a sibling who's extremely spiritually in tune, an escapist to some extent with their own struggles, special needs, all types of things. Okay, so yeah, Neptune in the third house, great for things like astrology, spirituality. Play to your strengths. That's the biggest thing with this, and create boundaries for Neptune. All right. So just like many positions, I can keep going, but I'll cap it here. And yeah, just to reiterate, you know, I got the lines then open. We recently covered Neptune for actually 2 weeks in pretty good detail. So yeah, tap in with me about that if you're interested in gaining some extra knowledge. This is my interpretation of Neptune in the third house. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. If you need a reading, click the link in the description. Send me an email and we'll set something up. So next time, peace.